This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rajni Jain. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I'd like to welcome you all to this online meeting. Please take a moment to review the guidelines for this online meeting posted in the chat window. I now request the moderator, Mr. Lakshmipathy, to introduce the speaker and start the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rajini. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lakshmipathy. I will be moderating this meeting. Agricultureinformation.com likes to welcome to this meeting Mr. Narasimha Rao Tolety, the Director and CEO of Harmony Ecotech Private Limited, Secunderabad, Telegana. Mr. Narasimha Rao will be speaking on the topic minimizing usage of synthetic chemicals in crop protection and crop health management. I now request the speaker to begin. Your mic is off, so please put on your mic.
Okay, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, but your slides have gone back. It is not in the slideshow mode now.
I seem to have a small problem, so
No, you can go for the F5, you know, as you did earlier. As you did earlier. It was in the slideshow mode.
No, the timing has been changed, so they're just going off pretty fast. So we are trying to figure it out. Just give me a minute now. Otherwise, I mean, is there any problem if I operate it manually? I'll go to one slide from there.
No problem. No problem. Please continue. You can go.
Yeah,
go.
Need the guest to get delayed.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Please don't mind. Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon to the representatives of agricultureinformation.com. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation. I hope everybody is able to hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Today's topic is basically, trying to find out how we are going to reduce the usage of harmful chemicals in agriculture. My company specializes in that. As you can see on the screen, Harmony Ecotech is basically a biocontrol and organic inputs producing company. We specialize in non-chemical crop health management. We are an ISO 9001-2015 certified company. We provide innovative, eco-friendly biocontrol solutions that enable pesticide-free production and contribute to sustainable agriculture. We had been in existence for the past 10 years, and we had been serving not only the global agricultural community, the farmers, but also Mother Nature. And we have a wide product range. We'll come to that. Basically, I would take this opportunity definitely to do a bit of promotion of my company, but the basic idea is not to lose the focus on the topic of the day. That is minimizing usage of harmful chemicals in agriculture. I think it's a very widely known fact. I mean, we need not really publicize this or maybe give it any kind of justifications or anything, that today usage of chemicals in agriculture is getting more and more harmful. They are not only harmful to the air, soil, water, and also the farm workers for spraying all those chemicals, but also to the people, that is we, who consume the output. I mean, you talk about fruits, you talk about vegetables, you talk about food grains, you talk about cereals, whatever you have, they're all contaminated with chemicals. I would rather not really blame it on the chemical companies, but blame it on the need for producing so much of food grains that are required for feeding the population of the world. That has necessitated to increase all the tools, improve all the tools, and use all the tools we have at our disposal to increase the production, without really understanding that at some point or the other, there's going to be a limitation. And these chemicals are going to be harmful. Now, I think every one of us are seeing that effect. I don't know whether, I'm sure some of you would have heard about it. There is what is called a Cancer Express that starts from Amritsar and goes every day to Gandhinagar in Gujarat. It carries terminal patients who are attacked with cancer to spend their last few days in peace. And one of the strongest reasons that has been identified for this is because of extremely excessive usage of chemicals in Punjab. I mean, as you know, Punjab is has been rated to be a sort of the feeder to the whole country, but at the same time, because of the left, right, center indiscreet usage of chemicals, this has happened. And how do we reduce that? That's a basic focus of this particular talk of mine. Of late, it is not only the academicians, not only the researchers, but the general public, the social workers, that is, the opinion leaders, and even the politicians. They understand that chemicals are harmful for agriculture and harmful for the human health when we consume those outputs produced by the agriculture. So people are trying to find ways and means of reducing the chemicals usage in agriculture. I mean, if somebody today tells me that we can totally eliminate the usage of chemicals in agriculture, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to accept that, because there are areas where you've got to use chemicals, especially when it comes to usage of pesticides for controlling some of those uncontrollable pests. And all said and done, your fertilizers or chemicals. Only thing is, we can try to reduce them. And I would share my ideas, and I would share what kind of products my company has in order to do that. We can reduce the amount of chemical fertilizers we use and virtually eliminate usage of chemical pesticides. I mean, I'm trying to differentiate between the chemical fertilizers and the chemical pesticides. Chemical fertilizers are an absolute necessity, and I would rather say chemical pesticides are not an absolute necessity. But we can definitely use chemical fertilizers to a very limited extent, so that number one, we try to reduce the contamination of the soil and the air with the fertilizers which are chemicals. For example, you take urea. I mean, all of you must be knowing about today, the government of India making it compulsory for the urea to be coated with neem, because that is going to reduce the amount of urea you require, let's say, per acre or per hectare. And there are other developments in the market that are going to further reduce the consumption of these chemical fertilizers. And we can use biofertilizers. I'm sure most of the audience here must be aware of the biofertilizers. And let's talk about chemical pesticides. That is where a major problem is there, because what happens with all these pests or weeds or fungus or whatever you call it, they all develop a kind of resistance to the pesticide, that is, in other words, a harmful chemical, when it is regularly used. I mean, the first generation of pests, probably they get killed. But the second generation of pests, they automatically develop certain kind of resistance, which is a very natural thing. It's that happens not only with the insects but also with us human beings. That is the reason why we keep on asking for more and more powerful antibiotics. So the pests, when they develop a resistance to a particular chemical, naturally the chemical companies, the agrochemical companies, they have got to go in for a stronger pesticide, and this keeps on increasing. So what happens? The farmer not only ends up spending more and more money on more and more costlier pesticides, but all these pesticides, they leach into the soil, they leach into the plants, they leach into the fruits and the vegetables, and finally they come into our own system. So how do we find ways and means to reduce the consumption of pesticides? That can be done by not only using biopesticides. I'll come to each of those things. The first one is biofertilizers. The second one is biopesticides. We have what are called different kinds of microbial cocktails, and then we have beneficial fungi like mycorrhiza and all. So there are various different means to reduce the consumption of chemicals in agriculture. And one more thing which most of the farmers in India at least do is use the chemicals in a very, very indiscreet manner. Whether they need them or not, they don't know. Whether the farm needs the pesticide spray or not, they don't know. What they do is they just spray a chemical every week. Chemical 1 this week, chemical 2 the second week, chemical 3 the third week. If the fellow farmer is using, let's say, 100 ml of chemical in, let's say, 50 liters of water, this farmer thinks that by using 200 ml of chemical in 50 liters of water is going to give him better protection, which is not right. To some extent, I would rather blame us because we don't educate the farmer. Point number one. Point number two, we don't do enough effort to show the farmer that by using these kinds of things like biofertilizers, biopesticides, microbial cocktails, so on and so forth, he can protect his yield, he can protect the quality of his product, at the same time reduce the cost of inputs. We don't really do it. We, in the sense, I'm not only talking about myself, I'm talking about academicians, I'm even talking about the industry as such. We'll go to one product after other in these things. The first, and before I forget, I would also like to talk about the usage of the pheromones and insect traps in trying to find out the threshold levels of pest populations in the fields, after which you should use the pesticides. What happens with the farmer is the moment he sees a particular insect on the field, he'll go to the nearest shop, buy the chemical, and then spray it off indiscreetly. There's no need of that because even the pests also, they're not going to just get into an epidemic kind of a thing. They require some kind of time to develop. So the farmer, by using pheromones, he can also monitor the development of the pesticides, pests, and then find out whether a pesticide has got to be used or he can wait for some time. The simple question is this: should we use a pesticide spray 4 times, or can we reduce it to 3 times or 2 times? That is how we keep reducing. And over a period of time, we can virtually eliminate the usage of chemicals. I mean, all of you must be knowing about organic farming, which is nothing but doing your farming operations without any usage of any chemicals or so. When that is possible on a continuous basis, on a consistent basis, why not making the first step towards reducing chemicals? It is possible. Only thing is we have got to have an intention, and we have got to have the right products in the market, and we have got to impart enough knowledge to the farmers. And that is what I think all the agri-input companies have got to do. Let's go to biofertilizers first. I would rather call the farmyard manure or the cow dung or the buffalo dung as a first biofertilizer. I mean, today, if you really look at the kind of nutrition levels of our farms, I mean, it's pathetically low. There's absolutely no organic carbon content. That is the reason why people keep on using more and more chemical fertilizers. It might work for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, but after that, the soil gets absolutely nutritionless. That is where regular usage of farmyard manure, organic fertilizer, and vermicompost is going to be very useful. My first advice whenever I go to a field and talk to a farmer is ask him whether he is using any of these 2 or 3 natural fertilizers, natural biofertilizers. And most of the people, they They just say that, okay, we have done it maybe 3 years back, 4 years back, 2 years back. I think this is where we have got to educate them and say that this is what is going to be really useful to you on a long-term basis. Apart from these three, which are not only useful as such in their own original avatar as fertilizers, they are also very, very useful in utilizing other kind of biofertilizers for increasing the nutritive levels of the soil. We have a range of bacterial combinations which can improve the nitrogen content in the soil, like Azotobacter, Azospirillum, Rhizobium. Then you have phosphorus mobilizing bacteria, potassium mobilizing bacteria, zinc mobilizing bacteria, iron mobilizing bacteria. I mean, you name it virtually. Whatever nutritive values that the soil requires, these can be achieved by utilizing various mobilizing bacteria. But the only problem is these mobilizing bacteria would be able to survive and then help the farmer only if there is enough organic carbon and nitrogen content. So having a base usage of farmyard manure, organic fertilizer, or vermicompost is a must if you've got to get the maximum out of these nutrient mobilizing bacteria. And these nutrient mobilizing bacteria are available in the market. There are dime a dozen brands which are available. Even my company also manufactures and markets these products. These can be used by the farmers in order to improve the nutrient content of their soils and also reduce the chemical fertilizer usage. So on one side, the farmer is improving the fertility or the nutritive content of his soil. On another side, he is reducing the cost of his inputs. One main product which I would like to talk to about is mycorrhiza, WAM. I do not know how many of you have heard of mycorrhiza, or how many of you have used mycorrhiza, or how many of you have recommended usage of mycorrhiza. But I would rather term it as a wonder biofertilizer, a wonder fungus. I would like to just share one small nugget of information. I'm sure all of you would have heard of TERI. Earlier it used to be Tata Energy Research Institute. Now it is known as the Energy Research Institute, which is in Gurugram near Delhi. They have virtually turned hundreds and hundreds of hectares of useless land into thick forests near Gurugram using mycorrhiza. They are supposed to be the world leaders when it comes to mycorrhiza technology. And we are now putting up a plant to manufacture mycorrhiza and then supply it not only all over India, but also to some other countries abroad. And mycorrhiza produces what is known, I mean, I would rather call it as something like, an undersoil, what do you call, a communication system, a net kind of a thing, connecting all the roots and helping the roots, naturally convert whatever nutrients which are available in the soil into useful nutrients for the plants. And mycorrhiza does it without any side effects whatsoever. And then we have some microbial cocktails, which are again very, very useful. And when you use these microbial cocktails, you need not go for any of these separate nutrient mobilizing bacteria. All of them, they come in one cocktail. We have a couple of preparations. One preparation has got more than 50 strains, another has got more than 100. And once again, I repeat, when somebody wants to use biofertilizers, you've got to have enough carbon and nitrogen content in your soil. So using farmyard manure, organic fertilizers, or vermicompost is an absolute must. We'll move on to the next part of biofertilizers. And again, I think I'm not really talking anything new about most of the people who are here know about. We have what are called growth promoters, potassium fumate, fulvic acid, seaweed extract, marine algae. And then we have immunity builders. I mean, under immunity builders, I have listed Pseudomonas, Bavaria bassiana, Trichoderma, Metarrhizum, Verticillium. And I'm sure many of you people would probably say that these are all biopesticides. Why the hell are you listing them under immunity builders? Whereas I know in my own personal experience and based on so much of literature which is available, these not only act as biopesticides, but they're also extremely good immunity builders. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind calling them biofertilizers because they help the plants improve their immunity and also improve their ability to absorb nutrients from the soil and then improve their own growth, their own vigor. That is the reason why I have listed these products under biofertilizers and immunity builders, though most of especially the government agriculture department, they classify these as biopesticides alone. I wouldn't agree with that. So we have basically, when we're talking about pesticides, we know that they're meant for pest control. That is the reason why I have included all these products over here. Along with that, I have also included neem and caringin, that is Pangamia. And we do manufacture these products. We supply them all over the world. And every one of you knows that azadirachtin is a fantastic biopesticide. And it's probably the most widely used pesticide. And in my own experience, I have also found that caringin is also extremely good and probably equally good as neem when it comes to pesticidal action. And by using biopesticides, what you're doing is you're reducing the number of chemical sprays that are required. And by reducing the chemical sprays that are required, you're definitely bringing down the cost of inputs. Because as I said earlier, the usage of chemical pesticides is only going to improve or increase the resistance of the pests. And that is going to result in more and more demand for more powerful pesticides, more costlier pesticides. So the cost of inputs is going to go up when you're going to use more powerful, the next generation pesticides. So it's always better to use biopesticides and develop natural immunity among the plants for various pests so that the requirement of usage of chemical pesticides is reduced, if not totally, at least to some extent. We then go to our main product, which we specialize in. We had been manufacturing these products since the last 10 years, pheromones and insect traps. I find it very interesting and probably very disappointing also that pheromones are not being used as much as they should be in India. And not many people really use pheromones for monitoring, though pheromones are supposed to be first used for monitoring and then go for the other two kinds of usages. Most of the people must be knowing what pheromones are. Pheromones basically act as attractants, and that too more for the male insects. And the first and foremost purpose of using pheromones is for monitoring, that is monitoring pest populations. You try to find out whether the pest population is building up to a level where it is harmful to the plants, or whether it can be managed without any chemical sprays. Once you're convinced that the pest population is building up very fast, then you try to decide whether you're going in for a chemical spray, and what kind of a chemical you're going to use depend upon the pest population. And the second purpose of pheromones, or the second application of pheromones, is mass trapping. Mass trapping is nothing but using more pheromone traps and more pheromone lures, and then try to trap as many insects as possible so that you're able to reduce the pest population to a certain extent. Again, please understand, pheromones are basically going to attract and trap the insects. Unfortunately, I have seen many chemical company salespeople saying that since pheromones attract the insects, even the pest which is there in a neighboring plot is going to come and affect this particular plot. Yes, they're going to come here, but they're going to get finally trapped, which means you're reducing the population. And the third application for pheromones is known as mating disruption. Mating disruption is the most effective way of controlling your pest populations without utilizing chemical pesticides. And this is catching up very fast in India now. And we have one sister company with us by the name ATGC. We have developed a number of mating disruption products, and for one particular product we have already got our license from CIBRC, that is for pink bollworm and cotton. We are just launching the product now, and in mating disruption we have seen that our product is providing almost 80 to 90% control, which is phenomenal, which I am sure even your chemical pesticides do not give that kind of a control. And one major problem of the chemical pesticides is you're going to spray the whole pesticide all over the farm. And when you're spraying the pesticide, you're probably utilizing only 1% or 2% of it for killing the insects. Less of the 98, 99% is going to go into the soil and water. That is where the entire harm is done. And pheromones completely protect this kind of a contamination, and compared to pesticides which are used probably, let's say, 1 or 2 liters per acre per application, pheromones are just about 1 or 2 grams. And even if you go for mating disruption, the usage of pheromones is just about maybe about 60 to 100 grams per acre, not more than that. So you can imagine the kind of reduction in the contamination, or in other words, I would say rather elimination of the contamination because of chemicals. That is how pheromones and insect traps are going to help the farmer in reducing the usage of chemicals and pesticides in the farms. And that is going to definitely improve the nutrition properties of the soil, the fertility of the soil in the long run. And if a farmer has got the wherewithal and the patience to wait for, I would say, anywhere between 3 to 4 years, I'm sure he'll be able to reduce his costs by virtually 80% and improve his yields by at least 30 to 40%. And I mean, you can make your own calculations about what kind of profitability increases that can happen with this kind of a usage. But the million-dollar question is whether the farmer has got the patience to wait. Point number one. Point number two, when you use non-chemical agri inputs like your biofertilizers, biopesticides, pheromones, so on and so forth, what happens is initially there's going to be a drop in the yields. So the farmer is naturally worried about it. And that particular point is taken advantage of by the chemical companies. And they say that, okay, see, these are not going to be useful. Your yield is going to drop, your income is going to drop, and probably you'll get into a loss. But in the long run, if the farmer can wait for about 3 years, I would say, I'm sure he would see that he is making at least 1.5 to 2 times the money which he was earlier making. I'm making my estimates very, very conservative. I've seen with my own eyes in places where the incomes have gone up by 3 times. I'm talking about the net incomes, not the gross incomes. And I mean, we have other products also which have still not been really popular in India. One major product which I can think of, which I think is going to take off in the near future in India, is going to be pollinators and baculoviruses. Okay, using biopesticides and biofertilizers itself and pheromones itself is an uphill task right now. Basically, because the farmers don't have the required education, point number one. Point number two, if you're talking about the government departments and all, I see that every year, virtually every state comes out with a tender for biofertilizers and biopesticides, but they come out with a tender pretty late. By the time they finalize the tender and the supplies are made, probably the time for their usage is already gone, and nobody educates the farmer about the requirement of the organic content that is required in the soil. So the just farmer thinks that, okay, these are also like the chemicals, and then he uses them indiscreetly. And ultimately, he doesn't get the results, and he blames the product or probably the manufacturers of the product. I feel that that's a very pitiable situation, and I hope in the audience we have some probably department officers, we have some academicians, and we probably have some industry people, who are already manufacturing similar kinds of products or thinking of manufacturing similar kind of products. I think it is high time that all of us get together, probably, sort of make a concerted effort to educate the farmer, because this is the only way to move. I don't know how many of you are aware of the kind of food exports that happen from India. India is supposed to be a major food exporter, and every day I see one notification or the other saying that the food products consignments which are being sent to UK, Europe, US, and Australia, one or two of them at least, they get rejected because of various reasons. And the most important reason, I would say 99% of the times, the reason is because the residual levels of harmful chemicals in the finished products are very, very high, sometimes 50 to 100 times of what is actually permitted. I think I have just covered whatever little I wanted to cover in the time given. Probably, and also, they have, the organizers have told me that I'll have about half an hour for making the presentation. That seems to be already complete. So I would now throw the dais open for questions. Thank you. And if you require any more information, you can see our phone numbers on the screen. You can get in touch with us. Thank you very much. Thank you for being patient and, sparing or maybe wasting your valuable time on my talk. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Narasimha Rao, for your detailed talk. It was interesting. I now request the participants to ask their questions. We'll also be posting the speaker's contact details in the chat window. Now, over to the participants for questions. Who is interested to ask questions, please? Probably the first question is from Mr. Anantram. You have any question? Mr. Anantram, you have any question? Mr. Izuddin. Yes, please. Please indicate your willingness by putting on your mic. Next, who would like to ask the question? Anantram is not there. Mr. Izuddin. Yeah, please go ahead.
It's Mr. Joseph Brito.
Your mic on. You have any question?
Mr. Joseph Brito, you can go ahead.
Thank you, Mrs. Rajani and Mr. Lakshmipati. Thank you, Mr. Narasimha Rao. Thank you, Mr. Narasimha Rao Tolety, for a very beautiful presentation.
I hope like you.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very useful, and this is the future which is happening now. It's already started, and people are aware of it also. So I would like to know from you whether you have any what do you call lure or any this pheromone trap for this coffee stem borer, one thing. And also you mentioned about future products. One of them is a pollinator, and the other one is Bacillus virus, is it? I could not.
Baculoviruses. Baculoviruses.
Baculoviruses. Okay, okay.
As a matter of fact, I mean, I wouldn't really call them as new products. Baculoviruses are there already, especially for two insects which are very, very common insects. One is the Spodoptera species, and the other one is Helicoverpa armigera. And the viruses used for them are known as SNV and HNV.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, it's already
Okay.
there.
Yeah, they
Okay,
are
thank
there,
you.
but
Thank you.
I have seen, especially in Europe and all, they use these baculoviruses very, very widely. And
Okay,
of course, see, one of the major reasons for them not being used in India is, like, as I said, lack of awareness.
okay.
You know, I'm sure. I mean, we don't really have any alternative today. These products have got to come in.
They have to. There is no doubt about it. It's a
Yeah,
question of time. Yeah.
yeah. And you have asked us for a product for coffee stem borer.
Coffee stem borer and other pests of coffee, which are very, very uh,
Yeah,
damaging to
yeah.
the crop. Yeah.
We are actually working on a sort of a repellent for that.
Okay.
I would share some details with you. Probably you can just send me a mail. You have my email ID over there.
Yes, 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 yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
we don't have an attractant for that. Basically, pheromones are attractants, and we have worked on a repellent, and we are able to get about 60% result with that. Maybe
Okay.
once you have a clear idea of your farm and other details and all, we'll share some samples also with you.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
Where's your farm like?
This is Chikmagalur estates, coffee estates in
Yeah.
Chikmagalur.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Chikmagalur near Harehalli.
Yeah. I mean, I'm aware of Chikmagalur. I have traveled that area.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Next
Great.
question is
Yeah.
from Mr. Siddhappa.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Narasimha Rao. I mean, do you have product from Ananas comesa for Spodoptera? They say that it controls Spodoptera species.
Sorry, I don't have. I mean, to be very honest, I'm hearing it for the first time. Can you just spell it out for me, please?
Locally called as Sitapal, sir. Ananas.
Okay. You're talking about aniline. I can give you aniline. I never knew that it controls Spodoptera.
Whether
We
it
are
controls
using it for some of these larvae. We can share the details with you. Yes. I mean, we can give you aniline.
Mr. Izzuddin, please put off your mic. I'll call you.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please unmute your mic. Sorry, mute your mic. The speaker is answering Mr. Siddhapa's question. I'll call you out. Yes, Mr. Narasimha Rao, please go ahead and answer Siddhapa's question.
Yeah, Mr. Siddhapa, which is the crop for which you require this particular product?
Actually, vegetables, sir, for vegetables.
Okay, because again, we have found not only in our own experience, but in some of these research papers that the extracts of aniline, on some particular plants, it has got, phytotoxicity. That is the reason why I have asked you that particular question.
Okay, sir. Then how about seaweed extract, sir? Which is the best seaweed? They say that around 22 seaweeds are available. Out of which is the best you recommend, sir?
I mean, I'm aware of at least 40 seaweeds.
No, I am not just. I am aware of only 22 varieties.
No, what I'm saying is today, everybody brings out, a dark green liquid and says that this is a good seaweed.
Yes,
I would suggest that you please experiment a little, because experimenting a little doesn't really, cost much. All you got to do is have some planters set aside in your farm and use a little bit of seaweed, just a few grams. Within 10 days, you will know which is working better. And unfortunately, for these particular products, there are no set standard protocols for testing and connecting the results with the product parameters. That's the problem.
I mean, whether all the seaweed extracts contains gibberellin, sir, or particular any seaweed content?
No, not everyone, not everyone.
So we need to add gibberellic acid along with the seaweed extracts. Is it so, sir?
What is the purpose for which you are adding?
No, for any as such any growth promoter. For example, chilies, if you want for the vegetative growth means. So
See,
I mean, yeah, please, sir.
Gibberellic acid is one growth promoter. It also helps, especially if you're going to use it along with nitrobenzene. It helps in flowering also. But you need not just go by the word that okay, gibberellic acid is the promoter. There are hazard promoters. One particular very natural growth promoter I can suggest to you is spirulina. Spirulina is again an algae, and lots of us human beings use spirulina capsules.
Yeah, sure,
as
sir. Sure.
Nutrient substitutes, but it's also an excellent growth promoter for plants.
Okay, thank you, Narasimha Rao, sir. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Send me a mail. We have a spirulina-based growth promoter. I'll send you across some samples.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. I will send you email. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Siddhappa. Next question. Yes, Mr. Sizuddin, you are ready with your question now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
Thanks, Mr. Narasimha Rao. It was wonderful. It was very wonderful presentation by you. And regarding,
thank you very much.
Good afternoon, sir. Regarding, I wanted to some growth promoters for flowering plants and fruits also, sir. And where it is available. And fruits.
Which fruits?
Especially mangoes and guavas and pomegranates and all those fruits, because we are having a nursery over here in Gujarat. So we are selling all types of flowering and fruits and all the plants we are selling. Okay, so if you can suggest some. And secondly, where it is available, sir, you have the growth promoters and bio fertilizers and bio pesticides, where it is available, na? Because on the market, all of them are selling chemical fertilizers and all.
We don't sell any chemical fertilizers, first thing.
In the market, I'm saying.
Yeah, they say, we don't really have a widespread dealership network or anything because of two reasons. Number one, when I have a couple of dealers in the system, the product cost increases to the customer. And there are other commercial problems which are related to the dealers. So we try to do it as directly as possible. For smaller quantities, we are available on Amazon.
It's on Amazon, you're available. Okay.
Yeah, you can just type in Harmony Ecotech Private Limited. You would go to our stores. And we are also very soon launching our e-store, harmonyestore.com. wherein we will be able to service the larger corporate customers and probably nurseries like you, where the quantities will not be, let's say, half a liter or 1 liter. Probably you might require 5 liters or 5 kgs of a particular product. There again, we can pass on the the economies of scale to you and help you save some money, and it also helps us to save the transportation costs and then sell our product at a lower price. So just send me a mail. I'll give you all the details.
I will send you a mail, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Rajesh Venkatachalam, you have any question? Then I'll move on to ask Mr. Jayaraman if he has a question. What about Commander Rao? Do you have any questions? Who is this? Yes, who is interested to ask question? Then Mr. Ambrish Kela and
Sorry, I came
Mr.
in late. Couldn't see the
Sabrina
presentation. I'm Ambrish
Pardon?
Kela here. I couldn't see the presentation earlier, but I'll have a look at your website. We are into organic farming, promoting in Indore. We have an organic store and we have a network of large number of organic farmers. So if this product is suitable, I'll definitely want to introduce it here.
This is
Thank you.
absolutely tailor-made, sir. This is absolutely tailor-made for organic farmers. And
Wonderful to hear that.
all my customers from Europe are into organic farming, nothing else.
Wonderful. So I'm so very happy that I got to know about you.
Yeah, and one question, Mr. Ambrish, you said that you have a network of organic farmers.
Yes.
Are you exporting your products?
No, we are wanting to first develop an ecosystem within the state in Madhya Pradesh, which is, I think, lagging quite a bit in local availability. So we have 2 stores now, and we are trying to develop a culture of organic produce bees available for localites. And we are definitely looking forward in the coming times to have network of farmers growing. There's no economy of scale just now. You know, there are very, very few farmers, so there's not much substantial quantity for export as such. So, but we are working on that and trying to build up volumes for certain things like chilies, certain other spices and wheat here and chana, which is grown here very much. So I'll work out with you, and in whatever way you can assist us, please do.
Yeah, because I asked you this particular question because some of my customers from abroad, they keep telling me that they have requirements of additional quantities of these organically produced products.
Sure, please, sir. I can't promise immediately, but we'll have our farmers grow it in subsequent months, and we'll see. We'll try to meet some of these requirements too.
Fine. Just share your email ID with me. We'll keep the dialogue on.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I look for questions in the chat window. Just a minute, please. I'll see if there are any questions in the chat window.
Yeah.
Yes, no questions. No questions in the chat window. Okay, that is all we have now for the day. We seem to have completed the question round. We'll also be, now is time to thank the speaker. I would like to thank Mr. Narasimha Rao Tolety on behalf of Agriculture Information for taking his time to speak with us. I now request the organizer of the meeting, Ms. Rajini Jain, to please close the meeting. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot for giving an opportunity.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmipati. I'd like to thank the speaker, Mr. Narasimha Rao Tolety, for taking the time to talk with us. I also like to thank all the participants for their time. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.